gentlemen.
Uh-oh.
It's time for the Early Bird Special. Bringing you the best stories from the world of sports and sports entertainment. Now, here are your hosts, Sparky and Burdick.
Well, good Friday morning, Bakersfield and surrounding communities. Everybody watching online on YouTube and Twitch. This is the Early Bird Special. I'm Chris Burdick. That is Sparky. Sparky, good morning, my friend.
Good morning. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Let them know what they're in for.
Oh, we've got another jam-packed show as we will obviously talk about what was Game 6 of the NBA Finals, some other news around the NBA. Plus, we'll have Jen Bowden joining us at 7:30, previewing the Battle of the Bartenders coming up June 28th at the Iron Lily. Then we have to get into this Dodgers, Padres, WrestleMania, whatever you want to call it, as well as some other drama in baseball. There was a guy that got hit by a foul pitch, a player from the Pirates swinging on a fan. There's all sorts of stuff to talk about. Plus, AP. We can't get past a day without some drama in some type of sports history or sports. AP fighting over some poker. I'm sure if you haven't seen this, there's a video on our social media you got to see. Shador, more news out of Shador. I guess this wasn't his first speeding citation. And then we'll have our boy Chris Flail at 8 a.m. We'll talk everything sports, wrestling, and we'll wrap up the show for the weekend. Plus, we have to get into somewhere, some way, somehow. We've got to get into this LeBron ring chasing comment he's made.
Ring culture or whatever you want to call it. I mean, it's an interesting concept and it's an interesting conversation. So we can get into that probably in the second hour of the show after Chris Flail, or maybe with Chris. I'm sure he has something to say about this as well. But we do got to talk about this NBA Finals that happened last night because we were wrong. We were all wrong. Everybody on ESPN, because everybody had the Thunder winning last night. Every single person outside of maybe Pat McAfee. But that's for obvious reasons.
Well, in Sportsmanlike, they were all saying it was going to be the Pacers, and they would be shocked even if Halliburton didn't play. And he did play. And we'll get a Game 7 right here on ESPN Bakersfield Sunday.
You know what I was actually more interested about was the pregame of this during shoot-around. Halliburton apparently made 15 straight three-pointers. I was like, okay, maybe this calf strain isn't that big of a deal. Maybe it's going to be fine. And honestly, he looked good. Not, the usual Tyrese. There's obviously some issues there still with the lower leg injury, but pulling it out 108-91 against a team that honestly looked flat. I think they were just kind of sitting there thinking, let's let them have this one and we'll wrap it up in Oklahoma City.
That was ugly.
Because, only one three-pointer made from your entire starting five. In 13 attempts, mind you. I can't necessarily say we got the best out of them because they went down early. And again, I think they just kind of looked at each other and said, you know what? This isn't our game. We will be back here in the next one. And everything we have seen from the Thunder in the past couple of weeks has shown us that most likely Game 7 will be a mollywhopping. It just most likely will. I hope that I am wrong because the concept of this entire story, Sparky, at least to me, is young team decides, okay, maybe we'll just fold on Game 6 since we have a game up. If you go back Game 7 and you lose, oh my goodness.
Yeah, you're going to look stupid.
The story is going to be a completely different thing. We're back to, is Oklahoma City mature enough to win a championship? Are they too young? Did they make mistakes in terms of mental preparation for this game? How could they not come out prepared in Game 6 and lock that up, let alone a Game 7 at home? There's going to be so many questions, so many storylines coming out of this. And honestly, I'm happy to say that we were wrong. I am very happy to say we were wrong because that means more basketball. And as I said earlier, especially when the Stanley Cup was over, I'm disappointed that all of this playoff sports is ending so quickly. I want more. I genuinely want more, and the Pacers delivered on that. So I have to say thank you, Indiana.
Yes, thank you.
I am absolutely
we get something
ready
to
for
watch
this.
on Sunday besides LFG season 2. So.
I mean, yeah. Well, it's going to lead probably perfectly into LFG season 2. So I'm very excited for that.
Well, this is SGA after a Game 6 loss.
It's one game for everything you ever dreamed of. If you win it, you get everything. If you lose it, you get nothing. It's that simple.
Are you sensing any differences in the difficulty of closing out a finals versus closing out any other playoff series?
No, I see it as the same thing. Like in round 2, if we had lost, I would have been just as disappointed. We would have went home and our season would have been over. And if we lose, the season's over in the wrong way. So either way, I would have been extremely disappointed. So I don't think it's much different.
I have to agree with him. And honestly, you remember in round 2 for the Thunder, they had to take on a former champion in the Denver Nuggets. So they have some experience in this kind of realm, and taking on a championship caliber team just 2 rounds ago most likely will help them with this edge to beat out the Pacers in game 7. I expect to see a bigger game from SGA, who only ended the game with only 21 points. Let me get my sentence together correctly. And honestly didn't really have the same kind of help that he usually has from his supporting cast. They went to the bench very early. That's when I kind of knew, okay, we're wrapping this up. They were down by 20 plus almost. I'm sorry. At one point, I think they were down by 30 or 40 because of a late 3. I'm pretty sure it was 30. I don't think it was as high as 40, but still.
I was watching the
out of
game.
reach.
It was in the second quarter, I would say, with 2 or 3 minutes left. And they were only down by, I want to say 12 or 13. And I was telling my dad, if they can get it down to single digits, we got a game. And within a bathroom break and came back, they were down by 20.
You know what it was? You know what it was? It was pregame when you saw the Pacers all gathering around and stuff like that. You see Pascal Siakam lock in and his eyes roll back to the back of his head. They just found the basketball from Space Jam, man. They got all their juice back. That's what it was. They were just touching the ball saying, oh my God, I can play basketball again. Here it is.
It was ugly.
It's a good thing, right? I mean, we kind of saw this coming. The nature of basketball, wanting to win at home rather than at your opponent's house, the celebration of it all. And honestly, I genuinely believe going into game 7, this is not going to be pretty again. And I mean in the opposite direction.
Not a close one?
No. And not in the sense that the Pacers aren't going to come out to actually compete in this game, but I would not expect the Thunder to score under 90 again. I'm expecting them to come out. I'm expecting a 30 to 40 point game from SGA, probably a 20 piece from both Chet and Jalen, and most likely a 20 point win from the Thunder here in the final game, just because that's what we've seen in every single instance after they've lost. So there's no reason to believe that's not going to happen again.
Well, they are favored 8.5 right now.
I mean, that's a fair bet line. I mean, we've seen it at 10.5 at certain points during this series. So the only saving grace I say for the Indiana Pacers is, one, you are still the better led team coach wise. You're pretty deep. And honestly, if you can get Tyrese Halliburton healthy by Sunday, this could be a completely different conversation. Because if you can just play Indiana basketball and just try to run them out of the gym one final time, score 120, 130 points, we could see one of the biggest shootouts in in NBA Finals history.
I'm looking forward to it. Game 7 this Sunday. This was Halliburton after the game, just talking about going into forcing a game 7.
It's exciting, man. It's so exciting. As a basketball fan, there's nothing like a game 7. There's nothing like a game 7 in the NBA Finals. Dreamed of being in this situation my whole life, so to be here is really exciting. Really exciting for me and our group. Like I said, what's happened in the past doesn't matter. What happened today doesn't matter. It's all about one game, and approaching that the right way. So everybody's got to take care of their bodies, good couple film sessions, good preparation, to get ready for that, and let the cards fall where they may. It's already written. We've worked our tails off to get here. Just got to trust the work that we've put in. And yeah, man, I wouldn't want to go to battle with any other guy. So I'm really excited about it.
I'm very happy he's excited. There's no better thing than excitement in sports there, Tyrese. But here's my problem. I have a growing just worry about the Pacers. And I'm going to bounce this off you, Sparky. Do you believe that we just saw the Pacers give everything they could in this final home game, like we've seen so many other teams do in this playoff series, like Boston did against them, like the Knicks did against them, like the Cavaliers did? Like there's always that one game where they give everything they possibly can, but then you need one more. Do you believe that we saw that one game here from Indiana, or do you believe this is just a game that kind of just happened to fall their way due to the, at least their defense making a lot of turnovers and plays early in this game?
I'm still going OKC, and I mean, I would lean on that. I was having that same conversation last night during the game when it was just slipping away. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I'll double down and agree with the same thing. It was just ugly play. It didn't look like OKC. It looked like they gave up when that same time in the second quarter.
They gave up early.
And I was like, they're done. And the turnovers, it just looked like lazy defense. They weren't defending the three, and they were just not playing as a team. And I could say the same thing, with the Pacers. They could have probably, used everything they had in that game. I'm not too shocked that they came out, hungry. And, we saw the same thing, like you said, with Boston when Tatum went down. They came up and punched, the Knicks and forced a game 7. And this is almost the same thing to me. I think this will wake up OKC. Plus, OKC will be shaking that roof over there. They're going to be all pumped up. And hopefully, just for, people that love sports, they'll be watching. Because it almost feels like a lot of the ESPN reporters are saying, it kind of felt like they pushed it, like OKC wanted a game 7,
right.
And hopefully for the NBA that we'll get a record-breaking turnout of viewers. But I'm thinking, after last night's game, that might just shy away from people watching. I mean, the low percentage of people that are already watching. Because
Well,
I know I turned it off mid-third quarter.
Yeah, the ugly play and the bad 3-point shooting and all of that probably will turn off a lot of viewers. You're right,
Especially if it's a blowout.
Yeah, and honestly, we've talked about it already. The viewership is down at least 20%, or it was when we talked about it in the early part of this week. I don't know if it has gotten worse since then. I'm hoping Game 7 pulls some people in. I'm genuinely hoping this being a Game 7 is going to be one of those instances where people are like, okay, this is playoff basketball for the finals. Winner takes the championship. Why not watch this kind of a thing? Because even if it's a bad game or if it's a blowout, I feel like people are going to watch it regardless. It's kind of like the Stanley Cup final. That last game was ugly. The Panthers put their foot down on the Oilers' neck and never let up, and it was just they ran away with it. So even if we get the exact same thing with the Thunder and Pacers, I feel like viewership is still going to be there just because it's a Game 7 and it's the final. It's the NBA Finals.
I mean, just hope it's entertaining.
Yeah.
Because if somebody is up by 20 at halftime, I'm sure a lot of people will be turning it off.
I just hope Indiana's defense shows up, because that's really what makes these games interesting. That the Thunder's defense is going to show up. They've showed up every single game, albeit they've lost 3 of them, but each one that they've lost has been close outside of this one. And this one was just a throwaway game, if you really want to look at it that way. So if Indiana can do anything to answer that and keep the Thunder within maybe 100, 110 points, this could be a really, really entertaining game.
And it's the first NBA final game in almost a decade. Do you remember the last one? You should.
Cavaliers and Warriors?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say
2016.
I couldn't remember if any of the other ones went 7. That's why I'm trying to think in my head, because it's like there's so many of these instances where you think they would. Like, I'm not going to lie to you. The Milwaukee Bucks Suns series I thought was going to go pretty deep. Didn't end up happening, but I genuinely thought it was going to go pretty deep. This one, though, it's kind of just lined up that way. It's been so back and forth the entire time. I still kind of stand by what I said, though. First team that was going to win 2 in a row is going to win the series. That's the Thunder. I'm going to lean on the Thunder.
Well, let us know what you think. Who's taking Game 7? Text in or call in anytime, 661-842-2000. We'll take our first break of the day right here on the Early Bird Special, ESPN Bakersfield, 12:30 a.m.
101.1 FM. Welcome back. This is Early Bird Special. I'm Chris Brick. That's Sparky. Since we're talking about NBA championships, I lied. We're going to talk about this LeBron James.
Yeah, listeners, you guys keep counting the paces out and just watch.
You know what? Look, man. Again, I hope I'm wrong. I've said it every single time. But I don't really care who wins the championship. I just want a good basketball. That's what we're getting. So I'm happy either way. Both of these teams deserve a chip, in my opinion, at some point in their in the next 5 years, I'd say. So the teams obviously that are playing are the ones winning them, but I couldn't care less who wins on Sunday. I just hope it's not a blowout like I'm worried that it might be, because every time that the Thunder lose, they come back and win by double digits. And it's not usually by 10. I'm going to tell you that right now. Real quick, though, because I want to get everybody else's opinion on this. We brought this up a little bit yesterday with our guy Snacks, and we didn't get a chance to actually talk about it that much. But LeBron James is back in the news because of something he said on his podcast, Mind the Game, with now Steve Nash. Was originally JJ Redick, but since JJ has taken the position of the Lakers head coach, they are no longer doing the podcast together. He has now brought in Steve Nash to fill that role. And it was brought up by a fan in a fan question about ring culture and how the NBA is essentially run by ring culture, and how and LeBron had a very lengthy answer to this. I should have cut it up last night, but I didn't have a lot of time. But the long and short of it is this. LeBron finds it weird that ring culture essentially runs the sport of basketball. He says, and I quote, trying to nitpick an individual because he has not been or is not able to win a team game or a team match or whatever the case may be. I don't know where it started, but in a long conversation, especially when it comes to me individually, look, man, here's the thing. I said it yesterday. Ring chasing, ring culture, all that type of stuff, that's sports. The whole point, if you don't get it, I'm not going to sit here and try to educate LeBron James on basketball, obviously, but I know team sports. What is the one thing everybody is shooting and striving for when you start a team sport? Yes, you could tell your kids to have fun. Granted, true. To fall in love with the game, you have to have fun playing it. But if you were at a professional level and you are in a team sport, really in any type of professional sport level, your number one goal is to win the championship, win a ring. That's why it matters. And honestly, all this sounds like to me, and I'll let you talk right now, Sparky, because the one part of this I kind of agree with him in, and he tried to spread this to guys like Charles Barkley and Steve Nash who never won a championship. And he says that just because they didn't win a championship should not fault us from putting them in conversations of people who did win a championship. Totally agree with that. Instant stars in the league who never won a chip like Steve Nash and Chuck should be still celebrated and all of that stuff. But if you want to be known as one of the best of all time, you need rings, and you need a lot of them. And that's because the greatest of all time had a ton of them. So you have to one him up. And I think that's kind of where it bugs me with this is really showing that LeBron does not have that mentality to me. Like Michael and Kobe, they understood it. They got it. The ultimate goal was the ring. This to me sounds like LeBron is crying saying, oh, my legacy shouldn't be tarnished because I don't have that many rings. My stats should be enough, which they should be. Don't get me wrong. Overall, probably the greatest basketball player to ever play statistically. But if we're really going to boil it down, you trying to say rings shouldn't matter is ridiculous.
Especially the reason you play.
Exactly. It's like it for you to have gone to Miami, sat on that stage with Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade, left Cleveland because you couldn't win a ring there, and said not one, not two, not three. Yeah, I'm a little scornful about that still, but regardless, that right there shows me you didn't understand. You still don't understand. And that's why you'll never surpass Michael.
Yeah, and that's when I lost all respect of him, is when I'm an old school type fan though. Like I know I'm the old guy because I grew up watching players that didn't jump from team to team
Right. There was
chasing.
loyalty or
You had
something.
the
Whatever,
loyalty, and you
blind
let your
loyalty maybe,
skills
but-
prove that you could win a championship.
Mhm.
Obviously, being, growing up watching players like Dan Marino, that had the skills to do it, just didn't have the team around him to win a championship. And that's why when you go down lists of GOATs, that's why Marino's name doesn't get brought up.
Nope.
He's one of those honorable mentions, as you would say, because, Montana had the rings, and then it went on, with the Bradys and the Mannings, and, and that is why, the Jordan, Kobe, LeBron, that's why he'll always be below, because of the championships. So he can say all he wants, and I'm sure he will, because with a couple years after, we're going to see a lot more LeBron, whether it's in movies, podcasts, wherever. But that is always going to be the final answer. He was a hell of a player, one of the best.
Oh, yeah.
But in the championship, you know what I mean? That's always going to be, well, how many rings does he have?
They don't ask how, they ask how many.
Exactly.
Winning matters. I'm sorry. Like, at the long and short of it, at the end of the day, winning matters. Russell Westbrook is a perfect example of this. Triple-double king in the modern era. First guy since Oscar Robinson to average a triple-double in a season. Won the MVP because of it. Statistically, probably one of the better point guards we've ever seen. Although he can't shoot for a dang and hits more bricks than any type of builder I've ever seen. But it's just, are we going to sit there and take him out of consideration because he doesn't have a ring? No, he's still going to get talked about. People are still going to remember Russell Westbrook, just like Steve Nash. I just the other day put Steve Nash in my top 10 point guards of all time. And it's because he was a very, very good point guard. But to sit there and say that, oh, rings shouldn't matter, it should just be about your play. Stop it.
It just feels like he's at that age now. He's starting to see, okay, I'm not gonna catch those ring counts.
Exactly.
So I'm gonna start putting out the words that that I'm gonna have to retire with.
Exactly.
And I mean, it was awesome to see him play over the years, but really as a fan, that's when I stopped.
But see, why do we have why is that always the move for some of these athletes? Like Scottie Pippen is another good example of this. When you're playing with Michael, he's your best friend, but then when you guys stop playing together, he's automatically the biggest villain of your life.
Yeah, the worst guy.
Where is this coming from?
And people wouldn't know you, Pippen.
Well, I won't go that far.
The years with Houston and Portland.
Yeah. I mean, again, he did not play well. I'm not going to sit there and say he would have been a star on a team, but
he wouldn't have the championships.
No, he definitely would not have had the championships. That's for sure.
And I watched, it's funny you bring that up, because it pretty much lit that fire under my butt, because I watched a couple episodes of the Jordan docuseries, and it was on the part where, they brought in Pippen, and then they posted, I thought I was better than Jordan. I'm like, that's great. That's what the mentality was in Chicago.
Yeah.
Everybody was the best of their abilities.
Which is fine, but to come out and attack the guy doesn't make a lot of sense. But again, that's not necessarily.
But what do you guys think with the LeBron?
It's just personally, I think it boils down to what you said, Sparky. It's more of just, I can't catch these guys in ring numbers, so I have to do something to validate my play and make sure I'm still seen as a GOAT. And honestly, you'll still be seen as a GOAT by some people. You really will. But the fact that you have to have this mentality, and the fact you have to go on your podcast and say, I don't understand ring culture, really? Like, it sounded a lot to me a couple years ago like you understood ring culture very well, but now it seems like you're just kind of giving up on that. And if that's the case, then that's fine. I get it, but it's just winning matters and your record matters. So I'm sorry, long and short of it is that's the case. And if LeBron wants to bemoan and do all that kind of stuff, that is what it is. But you're gonna have to live with it, there, big guy. So, but what do you guys think about all of this? Text it in 661-842-2000. We'll get to those probably after our first guest of the day.
Well, our first one said Scottie Pippen doing his best to sell his book, and LeBron is a crybaby, period.
Well, okay, yes. Don't get me wrong. I understand the crybaby LeBron stuff, but a lot of it I do believe is a little, misguided. Let's not get crazy. Like, he's still one of the best players to ever play. I'm just saying, for you to sit there and cry about your ringlessness you're not helping your crybabiness very much either. So, But anybody else, 661-842-2000. We'll get to those here in a little bit after we talk to Jen Bowden about the Battle of the Bartenders going on here in Bakersfield on June 28th at the Iron Lily. You're listening to the Early Bird Special on 101.1 FM, 1230 AM, ESPN Bakersfield. Welcome back. This is the Early Bird Special. I'm Burdick. That is Sparky. Our first guest of the day, we got to talk about Battle of the Bartenders going on next Saturday, June 28th at the Iron Lily. And to help us do that is our own events coordinator, Jen Bowden. Hello. How are you?
Doing well.
Yeah. Are we excited for next week?
Yes. Yes. It's coming together really nicely. I was there for a long time yesterday.
How are ticket sales looking?
Great. Yeah.
Fantastic.
I mean, there's some codes out there if you guys want to get tickets.
I think
I
we
would-
had something posted on our social media as
Yeah.
well about that. So
Yeah.
Bogo Bob.
Yes.
Bogo Bob.
Buy one, get one, Battle of the Bartenders.
That's right.
okay. I was going to say, is this an artist that I'm not aware of? What's
No.
going on here? Oh, my Lord. So let's talk about Battle of the Bartenders. What can they expect?
So this is kind of an elevated experience. You're going to come in. We hope that you're going to dress nice. If it's Bakersfield, so there's many levels of that.
Right.
But when you walk in, you're going to get a glass of champagne.
Okay.
And then you're going to walk around. We'll have a grazing table from Luigi's. We'll have some past appetizers from US Foods and also Luigi's. There will be 10 different stations where bars or restaurants are set up with their bartender, and you get to sample each one of those cocktails. And we'll have some demonstrations on the stage, kind of a battle between two bartenders at a time. This is all benefiting Houchin Community Blood Bank. But once you've decided which one you like the best, then you go back and you'll have a token that you vote for that one. And that one will get the People's Choice Award. And you'll get a full pour of that cocktail.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, with a souvenir glass that you take home with you. And we'll also have for purchase wine and beer by the glass.
Fantastic. So the battles between the bartenders, are we talking like cocktail where they're going to be throwing up the bottles? And
I hope so. I hope so that they put on a show and get some impressive
that would
things
be really
going
cool.
on. Yeah, I know.
It'd be very entertaining. So who can we expect there though? I know we talked about it off air, but like Casey Steakhouse, I'm assuming.
The Stockyard.
Okay.
Also, Tiki Co, Mas Bella, Harrington House, Headquarters, Honky Tonk, Rooster's Honky Tonk, who's also hosting an after party at their bar.
Nice.
And I'm trying to think right now off the top of my head because I'm drawing a blank. I apologize. My computer didn't print off what I needed it. But there are 10 bars. Oh, Aiden from Black Label Bartending. He has his own mobile. He's also a bartender and a server at Luigi's.
Okay.
So having the Luigi's food there is pretty nice. If you've ever been to one of their wine tastings, they have a huge spread, and we're kind of mimicking that because I know people really enjoy that.
Okay. So what is just going to be food provided by Luigi's, or are we thinking some other stuff as
and
well?
US Foods
and
too.
US Foods.
I think some seared ahi and some tri-tip bites, and the sausage from Luigi's as an appetizer, and then of course all the yummy cheeses, deli meats, veggies, all the stuff that Luigi's has to offer.
So this is a full cocktail tasting experience, obviously.
Yes.
Oh, good Lord. I had a next question for you and everything. I totally forgot what it was off the top of my head. Do you know any of the cocktails that are already been set up? Has Casey
Everybody is so tight-lipped about it because they don't want to give out any of their ideas. This is just like all of our other events. All the bartenders and the restaurants alike are always trying to hide their secret. They don't even
because you don't want the other bartender sneaking on you and just doing something a little bit better.
I might have been in here with another bar or restaurant, but they're like, we're not bringing our cocktail in there.
I wouldn't blame you. No, well, it's a little early for that too. I mean, we got stuff to do after this. So.
Yes, exactly. But
some of us
do. The other question I had for you that I just remembered. So you said it's supposed to be a little bit of a nicer feel, like dress-wise. Are we talking about button down with some slacks here, just to warn people? Because you know how Bakersfield can be. People will show up in a t-shirt and jeans.
I just don't want people. T-shirt and jeans is fine. Let's just not wear the holy ones. And if you have a nice button down, put it on.
Right.
Let's make this a nice experience. This is all benefiting Houchin Community Blood Bank. We have to thank Eagle Mountain Casino for sponsoring. They're our title sponsor, and you can get a safe ride home for free from Chain Cone Clark. So there'll be QR codes of
literally
the event.
no reason not to do it.
Get a ride down there. We'll get you home.
Does that also work if they go to the after party at Roosters?
Absolutely. If you hop in a Lyft, I think that the code will be valid until like 8:00 that night. So
okay, fantastic. So you have plenty of time to obviously use it, and it's all paid for. So there's no reason to drive yourself.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Then we're obviously benefiting the blood bank and stuff like that. Do you know how that money will be allocated?
There's always a need for they have mobile buses, getting the word out to, the younger community is definitely ones that are not going to go out and give blood, but they could, high schoolers can do it. You just have to get permission from your parents. And they also, like I said, the mobile trucks that they have to take everywhere, those need service. There's so many things that I'm not really aware of all of it, but we've partnered with them, obviously, with our citywide the blood drive that we do with KGET.
Yeah.
So we're just trying to keep supporting that.
Obviously, we need more blood because that's something that's very, very scarce at the moment, and not a lot of young people are donating. I've noticed, especially people my age, because they're so just like skeptical about it, I guess. So this would be a good way to actually donate and help those people get stuff that they need, right?
Absolutely.
So
and if you hadn't been to the Iron Lily, it is beautiful.
It is.
I actually have never been in there.
That's where my older brother got married there. It is super nice. The bar is super nice. And plus we'll all be there.
Yeah.
not only will you
Everybody.
get to see us, but you get to see Scott, you get to see Romeo, you get to see everybody from all our sister
You can
stations.
yell at Ralph and Romeo at the
Yeah.
same
I guess
time.
We
On
might
the
have them
same
standing
day.
next to each other. Who knows?
Oh, that'd be so great.
while holding a cocktail. So
right?
Just
I
don't
mean,
throw your cocktail
yeah,
at them, okay?
don't
It's not
miss
that kind
out
of a thing.
and don't wait till the last minute, because I know how Bakersfield runs. They wait until the morning of, or an hour before the event. Get your tickets now. So do they just go to Eventbrite to get their tickets?
They can, or they can go to follow us on Instagram at Battle of the Bartender 661, and there's a link in the bio that'll go straight to those tickets.
There it is.
Fantastic.
And if you haven't got our tickets, remember BOGO Bob. BOGO Bob.
I swear I thought that was an artist that was going to be playing at
Oh
this
my
thing.
gosh, we'll have DJs though, but no BOGO
No
Bobs.
BOGO Bobs.
No.
Dang it. Man, that could have been the greatest show. Anything else we need to highlight before we let you go?
I just go get your tickets today. It's going to be a good time.
Fantastic. Well, Battle of the Bartenders again next Saturday at the Iron Lily. Don't miss it. Plenty of drinks if you're into that, and a free ride home. You can't beat that. You really can't. So go check it out. Go to Eventbrite. Buy your tickets right now before they sell out, because it will sell out very, very quickly. Jen, thank you for your time. We really
Thanks for
appreciate it.
having
Sorry
me.
to pull you in a little bit earlier than you're used
I'm
to.
okay.
So, but I know you're here just as late as I am, so hopefully it won't be that long of a day for you.
Thank
But
you.
we got to take a break real quick, pay some bills. This has been the Early Bird Special on 101.1 FM, 1230 AM, ESPN Bakersfield. Welcome back. This is the early bird special. One last segment before we get to the second hour of the day, second hour of last hour of the week, and we got to talk about the Dodgers because again, Padres pulled off a win in the final game of the series last night, even though losing the first three and losing this entire series pretty handily, to be honest with you. But there's been multiple brawls, or at least bench clearing instances after hit by pitches, and look, man. I am all for baseball getting physical. Don't get me wrong. It's sports. You need to be competitive, and I get how these games go. But I think they got to spread these series out a little bit more because obviously this entire thing started because of the series that happened prior. For those of you who don't know how baseball works, baseball usually play about a 3-4 game series before moving on to a different team. Lately, you've been getting a lot of these teams playing each other back to back, or maybe 2 out of 3 series. And this is what's happening here with the Padres and Dodgers series. This entire animosity has been boiling between the Padres and the Dodgers for the last couple of years, but it has really gotten to a boiling point in the last couple of weeks because they've literally played 7 games against each other in the past 10 days or really 11 days. And so many star players have been hit with pitches.
Oh, yes.
So many. Ohtani's been hit twice. Tatis has been hit twice. I'm pretty sure Machado got hit in the first series. I'm like, these guys are just throwing pitches at each other and just making it hurt. And this last night's happened because a stray pitch hit Shohei Ohtani again. Shohei didn't want the benches to clear. He told everybody, I'm fine. It's not that big of a deal. What are your thoughts on this, though? Because all I hear from Dodger fans is they better throw one at their guy next time. They better throw one at their guy. And now we hear Manny Machado coming after the Dodgers saying they better hope that the ball that hit Tatis does not injure him, and they better, quote unquote, light a candle because he's going to be coming. And these games are going to get ugly.
Yeah.
They're going to get ugly if they continue to allow this stuff to happen.
I know they don't play again until, I believe, August.
Yes.
But, I mean,
again, fine, but we're going to be talking about this in August.
For another month. I love it. But as I'm not a fan of either team, so I have no
Skin in
real
the race. Well,
exactly.
I mean,
but I love it. I like the attitude, but
Right.
I mean, I'm hearing texts from for the last week about the Dodgers own the Padres and blah 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 blah, and
Which is true.
it's all about I love the Machado clip. I tried to pull it this morning, but yeah, he just says you better pray that he's okay, which we'll hear more about it because he's having a CT scan this morning. But I love it for baseball. I mean, just it's entertaining.
I do too, but it's like I said, I'm all for physicality and confrontation and stuff like that in sports just due to the competitive natures. But when we're throwing at people's heads, okay, no. He didn't. The 2 pitches that hit Shohei, one hit him in the thigh. I do not want to hear any of you Dodger fans, they hit him in the knee. Knock it off. They hit him in the thigh, and the other one hit him in the shoulder. Both hurt. Don't get me wrong. I've been beamed with a baseball more than probably anybody listening to my voice right now. But at this point, it really wasn't something that was scary or to a point that could have detrimentally hurt your pitcher. They did not throw a 95-mile-an-hour fastball at Shohei's knee. He threw a curveball and a slider that happened to nick him. You throwing a fastball or anything close to that at Tatis's head? Nah. That's not okay. That's not baseball.
Yeah, can you imagine if they did that
Exactly.
to Ohtani?
Exactly. And
To his
honestly,
head?
that's all I keep hearing from Dodger fans is they started it. No. Look, guys, this goes back a lot farther than that. And at this point, I know it's baseball, but it's like we tell fans too. I think, and this is kind of what needs to be said, or not needs to be said, but I think needs to be addressed by the teams, is we tell fans not to act out and not to be confrontational with each other. But when you guys are this confrontational with each other on the field, it kind of invites that for the fans to do the same. You know what I mean? So it's like you got to calm it down at some point. Otherwise, you're inviting a lot of really negative stuff to be coming in outside of the game, especially in the crowds. And we're trying to snuff that out, man. Let's get back to sports being entertaining. And granted, yes, there should be confrontation, but to automatically assume every time these two play each other that there's going to be a ball thrown at somebody in a way that's going to hurt the other player, especially a star player, that's kind of ridiculous. I don't
Our
want to see
listeners
that.
are starting their Friday.
I'm sure they are.
Wow.
And again,
Some of them I can't even read on the air.
and so I'm not sitting here saying in any way, shape, or form that what they did wasn't warranted. Throwing it bases at your star player is warranted. Don't get me wrong. It's baseball. I know that happens, but ain't no reason to throw it that high. That's all I'm saying.
We had 2 back-to-back listeners
it.
say,
What we got?
screw the Padres. They started it. Same old, same old.
Again,
Other one says, this is what happens when baseball teams play. Everyone in season, you're going to get it. And a screw Manny message. It's all Dodger fans.
No, again,
Just, the
there's
Padres
a
started. The
lot
Padres
of
started it.
animosity between these two.
And one Machado's not going to do anything.
I don't know about that one. I've seen Manny charge a mound, so I wouldn't be surprised if Manny charged the mound against the Dodgers. But again, I don't blame anything that's happening. I'm not sitting here saying this isn't baseball. It's baseball. You throw something at our star player, we're going to throw something at yours. That's just the way it goes. But let's not throw it in a way where they're going to be seriously injured. That's the only thing I got to say. And then before we leave Dodger Stadium, I have to give them some kudos before we get done here. We don't usually like to get political on this show, and the whole Neza situation was about as far as we wanted to get. But the entire ICE situation yesterday, that just got me thinking, good for you if this was true. I don't know who's true. I don't know if the Dodgers are telling the truth, if ICE is telling the truth. ICE has come out and said we were never there. Dodgers say, yes, you were. We got video. And for those of you who didn't see it, apparently there were ICE agents that had rolled up to close to the Dodger Stadium, and they believed that they were trying to get in there. I don't know what the entire plan is. I'm not going to sit here and comment on it. But if it is the way that I've read it and the Dodgers told them to kick rocks, we're not letting you in, kudos to you, especially after with everything that happened with Neza. It's going to win over a lot of fans again, and honestly probably make all of that go away, to be completely honest. But it just makes me laugh a little bit that the Dodgers, who were probably just trying to stay out of this entire situation altogether and had something planned. Apparently they had something planned to give back to the people that have been affected by these ICE riots or ICE raids. I'm sorry. And, give back to the communities. And now they're full center of all of it. I feel bad for them in a way, but at least you made some sort of stance that made a positive stance towards your fan bases. Because again, 65%, I would say, of your fan base is Hispanic. And for you to be anywhere near this story is a bad thing. But if you're playing it the way you're playing it and telling these agents to walk away, it's the right move. So kudos to you. Nobody should be in fear watching a baseball game. That's all I got to say. So let's move on, though, to a different topic here, Sparky. I don't know. What do you want to get into? You want to talk about Shador, apparently?
Well, did you see the Pirates pitcher swinging on the fan?
No, yeah, let's talk about that a little bit. Because, again, talking about how we get on to fans and stuff like that, about being a little crazy at games and, the attitudes that invite that. I don't know exactly what the altercation was. Do we know what the fan was saying to the pitcher at all from
the
Pittsburgh?
Pirates reliever Dennis Santana was involved in that on-field altercation. I believe his quotes, which was pretty much saying that the fan crossed the line. He'd been talking and yapping the whole game, and he crossed the line. He said he was not going to repeat what he said. He said, but it was he had never seen anything in the 8 years he's been in the major leagues. He's never heard or seen anything as bad as this one. And he was pointing the fan out to the police at the time that he was called in, and he was pointing him out. And as he was walking up, I guess the guy had threw it out again a few more times. So you could see the video. He just went up to the wall,
the edge of the wall,
and just kind of swung a little super punch, super slap type deal.
Yeah, I don't think it was
I couldn't
close
tell if he
fist. It was
connected.
slapped. No, I don't think he did. He swung, and it really was a flow through. So I don't think any connection was made. But he did take a swing at a fan, and that's what I'm talking about. Like the attitudes that some people show up to with these games is ridiculous. These guys aren't gladiators, okay? They're not clowns for your entertainment. They're athletes. You know what I mean? They're humans just like you. Let's not.
Clowns.
Well, I mean, think about it, dude. That's
Yeah,
essentially what we're boiling this down to. People go to these games thinking, "Oh, you are a monkey for my amusement. Play for me."
It'll go
Like,
to, we've done live shows, we've gone to concerts, we've talked to comedians that have dealt
Yes.
with people that just cross the line,
just because they paid for a ticket.
and it makes me laugh because that cactus video you posted when she was talking about the couple and the ex that was sitting and how they were fighting. I mean, it kind of, if you've ever went to a football, baseball, any sporting event, or even a concert, people get a little too faded
Yeah, act a fool.
before shows, and they act a fool. And I'm sure this isn't anything different. But I mean, I wouldn't say good for him because you obviously need to be the professional. But I don't know what he said.
Mhm.
So first of all, I can't say it was a bad. I mean, if he was, I've heard some crazy things at games or concerts, so I'll just leave it at that.
Mhm.
And I know before we wrap up the hour and we bring Chris Fell in, there was also a Rays player that was hit by a 105-mile-per-hour foul ball and was taken out on a stretcher. Everything seems to be okay. He said he didn't lose consciousness, that he gave the thumbs up. So hopefully everything goes well. He's going to get some tests done. But yeah,
miles an hour,
if you've
dude.
ever been hit by a pitch, or, especially with baseball, I've been hit by pitches, and that kind of, all right, take a couple of steps and walk that one off, because you never know when or where it's
I've
gonna
never
hit.
been hit by 100-mile-an-hour
No,
though.
but
Like,
I've gotten close. But
mm-mm.
no, there's and that was unintentional.
Oh yeah,
So-
no, absolutely unintentional. It's a foul ball, but still, it's just like it's one of those moments where you got to look at the guy and say, "Look alive, just duck, do something." But no, it's one of those moments that's scary in baseball. Obviously, you hate to see it, but I cannot imagine how much pain that must have been to take a fastball 100 miles an hour. Ugh, scary situations. But we got to take a break real quick, pay some bills. We got our boy Chris Flail on the other side, get his thoughts on all things, well, sports. I also want to get his thoughts on this LeBron James thing and the ring culture, because I swear to God, I'm surprised none of you have chimed in on this. Maybe it's because we have too many Laker fans in the entire listening base, but do you guys believe that LeBron's right against these ring culture comments? I don't know. I feel like it's a little bit of griping and a little bit of crybabiness, if you ask me. And I'm a Cavaliers fan. Grew up watching the guy. But we got to take a break real quick, pay some bills. This is the Early Bird Special on 101.1 FM, 1230 AM, ESPN Bakersfield. And welcome back to the Early Bird Special Hour 2, final hour of the week. And our final guest of the day is here, our boy Chris Flail. What's going on, brother? How are you?
Good to be here. Thank you guys
Yeah.
for having me. Happy to be back and to not have to pay $1 to Sparky today.
Well, you can
Not have
save
to
it.
pay a dollar.
We have a $1 bet on the NBA final, which, by the way,
Ah.
Disney listeners, I don't know if that's okay that one of your co-hosts is shaking down
Hey,
a broke
hey.
comedian for
It's
$1.
a $1 here. All right.
I don't know about bro. You walked in before Carlos Mencia did today, so
that's
I don't know.
exactly.
There might be some seniority there.
Beat him to the door.
little
Yeah,
bit, man.
life is good.
That was funny. I saw Chris walk in, and then right behind him is Romeo walking with Carlos Mencia, and I said, "Wait a minute, like,
That's right.
are we sure? Like, what's happening here?"
Just a couple of touring comics. I'm doing a
Right?
winery in Antelope Valley, and he's
He's-
probably doing a theater. But same
What's the
deal.
difference?
That's
It's the
right.
same thing.
That's right.
When's that?
That is next Saturday. So I got a long one next. I've got Thursday. I'm in LA at the Haha Comedy Club. Friday, I'm doing a Seven Oaks neighborhood here in town. So if you're one
Nice.
of the fancy folks, I will be darkening your neighborhood for a little while. and then off to the winery Saturday.
Fantastic. It sounds like a full schedule for you.
It's
Then.
it's a fun one.
You make that a weekend trip with the wife or the?
We'll be doing the
Nice.
winery for
I was
sure.
saying,
We'll be-
Nice.
I'd be very disappointed if you didn't. You gotta
would-
utilize that time.
If not, I'll be Sunday on the couch.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
And I did see this just broke the officiating crew for Sunday's NBA Finals.
Oh, is he in there?
Oh yeah.
Of course he is.
I knew it was going to be him or Goebel, so
Yep.
I'm like, all right, well, now it's 5 versus 9, I guess.
Who's getting the 9 though? The Thunder?
I think the Thunders the thing, you've got the league face, you've got the guy who's on every commercial, you've
Mhm.
got the guy, he is the best shot for the NBA to take over as the face of the league when now non-ring chasing LeBron, I guess.
Mhm.
Just love of the game. The guy who called himself the GOAT for winning his 4th ring.
Again, we'll
doesn't
we'll
care
get into
about
that in a second.
rings.
But
But when he retires, I think SGA right now, it can't be Anthony Edwards for
No.
many of reasons. For whatever reason, Jason Tatum doesn't get the same kind of buzz. This Oklahoma City Thunder team somehow broke out of the mid-market and excites people, and the league wants it and needs it. I get it. I hate it, but I get it.
do you think Tatum, because I agree with you, for some reason there's just like this cloud around Tatum that American fans can't get around for some reason.
Yes.
Do you think it's because his team is so stacked and he needs to do it by himself?
I don't know what it is. I'd be curious to hear what you guys think, but there is something just plain greatness is not as respected for some reason.
Right.
It took a little while for Steph to take off because he's not 6'8" and gigantic
that's
and
fair, actually.
270. Tyrese Halliburton, same. I mean, he's not going to score 30 points a game. There is something with Tatum that's just unassuming, and I can't explain why. I don't know what it is.
I think
It's Boston.
Maybe
No, I
it's-
don't even think it's just Boston though. I think it's just the inauthenticness that he brings because take what happened when they won the championship last year. What's the first thing he did? He
yes.
quoted KG.
And anything is
Anything is
his version.
possible. Yeah, I was like, dude, really? Like,
Yeah.
and it's Boston, so it's like you're not thinking that through. You need to do something that's desperately yours.
Yeah.
And the second thing he does is he goes into the championship and does the freaking Michael Jordan picture like everybody else.
That's right.
And it's like, dude, you're just inauthentic. There's nothing to you that seems like it's your own.
Well, he has a chance now because with this injury, if he overcomes that, that's the adversity that a lot of heartfelt stars overcome that you get. And I feel like we, as the basketball indulging public, have changed over the last couple of years. We've now embraced Karl Anthony Towns' goofiness and fake and changing accents and sauciness.
Forget about that. He hasn't done that in a while.
And that's because we've rallied around that and been like, oh, look at you. So maybe this is the time for Jason Tatum. What I'm saying is let the Pacers win game 7, Scott Foster.
Nope.
I don't know. I would really love to see the Pacers win this series. I really,
Me
really
too.
would. But there's just these games we have seen from the Thunder, especially after they lose. It's never pretty. The next
Monstrous.
game.
Yeah.
It's never pretty.
Well, and game 7s are always ugly.
Mhm.
I'd be curious what you guys think. I feel like, I just hope it's not just my algorithm, but I feel like during the series, America started rooting for the Pacers.
Nah, I
In
think
game
that's the
3,
case.
game 4, and I don't know if it's just the Cinderella story or as you watch, like we talked about, Celtics Thunder, we thought it was going to be it was going to be 3-pointers versus foul baiting. It is an undesirable style of basketball. Like I said, my fiance does not come from a lifetime of basketball, and in Game 3, she goes, "That's got to be a foul." And Doris Burke, it was not a push off. he releases contact.
I mean, I think I know we've gone through the ratings and they're horrible considering the past years, and we've talked about that even before because it's just not big market teams,
right?
But we're hoping that it's now pushed to a Game 7. But the friends of mine that I've texted in with the series is either they hate OKC or they hate the Pacers. It has nothing to do with the players or what they had to do to get there. And one is the people that aren't heavy basketball fans. That is pretty much the main topic, is the officiating and the way they play.
Right.
Whether it's the push off with SGA that he gets away with,
sure,
or the no calls. And why are they shooting threes so much? Like, nobody is driving, like nobody's playing plays. And I've gone back to this over and over with SGA. They look like a horrible team when he tries to do everything on his own. And when they play as a team, then they have a good game. And so I'm just hoping we don't know what we're going to get out of Game 7. I personally think the Pacers probably used all that energy in Game 6, and we've seen a lot of when Halliburton goes off, he usually has a dud game afterwards. So I'm hoping that it's a close game, but I probably would agree with Burdick is it's probably going to be a blowout. And as a fan, I just want to see a good game on a Sunday, whether it's a Game 7 or not. I just want to see a good game and a good series.
It's just the history of what I've seen all year has showed me that the Thunder are going to come out and mollywop you after you beat them once.
There's a good chance at that.
And it's just, I don't know. Like there's something, I would love to see the Pacers win this game though. Don't get me wrong. But in order for them to do that, I'm going to need to see the Pacers that are going to run up and down the court and score 130 points on you.
Well, the one thing that gives me hope is that Game 7s are so weird and so sloppy. And I did some quick research last night, and I didn't realize that as far as finals Game 7s, I think there's been 5 in the last 40 years.
Yeah, no, it does not happen often.
I'm looking, and I remember our generation watched those most recent ones live. We watched the Cavs Warriors one. We watched Game 7 Lakers Celtics.
Yep.
That's what brought me to is who's going to have the Ron Artest game. And what gives me hope is the Pacers. It is a team of Ron Artests on on any given night. Every player can give you 25 and 10. And so if it turns out to be one of those sloppy games where it's not Halliburton and SGA or Siakam and Jalen Williams, and you have to rely on the backup dancers. It's hard to find a better team filled with backup dancers than the Pacers.
Well, I'd have to counter that with the Thunder. I think the Thunder have just as good of a backup dancer.
Could be the Chet game.
You got Chet Holmgren, Alex Caruso, Dort. They all go off in their own time.
What's the other big guy that
Hartenstein or whatever?
Yeah,
he's been doing pretty well on offense too, but they don't really lean on him very often. He's more just like the setup guy.
Yeah.
But still, I see what you're getting at. It's going to take a third person to really come in. But from what I have seen, though, the Pacers also have that moment of none of them step up. You know what I mean? Like even the Neinhart and the Naismiths that come off or in the starting 5 don't step up.
Well, I heard you guys talk about it this morning. I am glad that considering Halliburton's injury, the demon that we know has possessed him throughout the season transferred into Pascal Siakam just before the game.
I'm telling you, dude, like it was some Papashanko or something. It's like I don't know what was going on with him, but the eyes rolled in the back of the head. I'm just sitting there thinking of the Space Jam moment where he touches the basketball and all of it just flows right back into him. So I'm hoping we get like a 50-point game out of Pascal in Game 7.
That's what it was. Whatever evil magic possesses Halliburton just went, all right, in case that calf's no good. Let me get into this guy real quick.
Just in case. But I don't know. It whatever magic it was does not matter. They won. So that's all that actually matters.
Yeah.
Real quick before we get out of basketball, though, we got to talk about this ring chaser thing because I'm curious of what you think about it. For those of you who weren't following us in the first hour, LeBron James on his podcast with Steve Nash was asked about ring culture in the NBA. I really wish I would have cut the actual audio. I should have done it yesterday. But he gave a long and exasperated answer, pretty much saying that rings aren't everything and that is a team accomplishment, not an individual accomplishment. Right. We both are in the same thought process of, yeah, you're just crying because you can't catch up to Kobe or Michael anymore.
Right. Well, and it's like his Achilles heel. You brought up Jason Tatum, to your point again about being disingenuous. The thing that makes him great is the thing that is killing him now. We love Kobe Bryant now because we watched him grow up in front of our eyes. We
Right.
watched the petulant child, we watched the problematic, and we watched the overcomings. LeBron James has never grown up in front of us. He's the greatest physical presence I've ever seen play in my lifetime, but he is also, if you grew up playing basketball, the ultimate AAW diva who hasn't been told no since he was in 5th grade. And the difference, one of the main differences you see between he and Michael Jordan is LeBron wants to do everything. He wants to be LeBron. He wants to be Le Coach. He wants to be Le GM for these shows. He wants to be Le Producer, Le Director, Le Host. You cannot control the narrative of your own legacy. Michael Jordan is smart enough to have a team of people around him that produce The Last Dance, and he comes in and he does his humble, aw shucks, it's not for me to speak on who's the greatest, and has dozens to hundreds of people championing him being the greatest. LeBron has alienated every other journalist. He's got beef with Stephen A. He's got beef with Windhorse. He's got beef with everybody else. He wants to own it himself. You can't control how people talk about you when you leave. And the more he chases this, the harder it's going to be to get what he wants than chasing the 5th ring, in my opinion.
Playing devil's advocate here, though, don't you feel like that's kind of how athletes need to do it these days? Because it's such a athlete-centered medium now that if they don't take control of themselves and share their own stories, that the media just runs with whatever the heck they want to run with.
It's possible, but I have to think if Michael Jordan were a player today, you ever see how Stephen A. fangirls when Magic Johnson comes on the show? Michael Jordan would create a stable of people around the aura, as the kids like to say. It would be so easy for LeBron or Kevin Durant to bring these guys into the circle, to bring Stephen A. into the circle, the way that Kobe did, the way that Allen Iverson did. You could call it personality, you can call it manipulation, which war tactics.
A little both, yeah.
It would take one visit, and Kobe did that. He and Charles Barkley had beef. He went on NBA on TNT. He and Stephen A. had a thing. He would call Stephen A. and yell at him, and then he went on the show, I think once or twice, and did it. It would take minimal effort for LeBron to get all of these guys around him to champion him. And he's already got the younger generation. I don't know why he doesn't try. His team is fantastic, Rich Paul and everybody. I don't know why he hasn't put more trust into that and let it.
From what I understand, he does, though, because Rich Paul, from everything that I've seen and all of the interviews that he's done, he really runs most of not only his own business, because he runs a ton of different stuff, but he's also one of the main business speakers for LeBron as well. So I mean, that could be the reason for it, though. He could be telling LeBron, hey, don't do it this way, do it this way.
That's
you know
possible.
what I mean?
And who knows, in 20 years he make me look like he may be the media. He may be ESPN in 20 years for all I know. He may have bigger things on the radar than I'm perceiving.
But I mean, well, LeBron himself is going to own a basketball team at some point. That's all he's talked about, is that he wants to own a team. So obviously you're right. There's a level of alpha dog that he has in him that he never wants to let go of. But to sit there and try to brush away the necessity of a ring and how it justifies someone's season. Because again, as I've said multiple times, the whole point of being in a professional team sport or a professional sport in general is to win a trophy or a ring or a championship. That's the whole point.
He patented modern day ring culture.
Right. And that's what our guy said yesterday. Is like, dude, you started this. How can you sit there and now say, it's not that big of a deal?
Yeah. There was a blank period between Jordan and Kobe. There was a blank period between Kobe and LeBron. He could have squashed this. And he fed it because it supported his legacy while it was growing. In 2020, we all thought there was a good chance he gets to 6 or 7.
I mean, well, that's fair.
And that's probably why he's bringing it up now. It's the same thing we brought up earlier. I think he's just hit the age where he knows, okay, well, I'm not going to catch that. So now I got to spin the narrative. And, and LeBron is always going to be one of the GOATs. We're always going to talk about him. Doesn't matter if you like him or not.
Right.
I'm personally not a fan, but it was because of the Miami switch. I loved him when he was in Cleveland, but I'm more of those fans that stick with your team. Like if I would have saw Kobe leave the Lakers, you know what that would have done to the Lakers, but just his history. And that's why I've always liked the loyalty type players like Steph, and you stick with your team. But LeBron is always going to be one of the GOATs. I just wish we didn't have to see him so much.
Well, that's also fair. But just a little question for both of you, and just it popped up on my head. If LeBron goes back in his final year of his career, goes back to Cleveland, wins one last ring, and rides off into the sunset, do we wipe away most of the hate around his name?
I think that wipes away a lot. And for me, I don't have that. I like him, and it's just these little things that he does. And I go, man,
it's like, it knocks you down a little bit, right?
Oh man, I've got to take,
because he's squeaky clean outside of out in the world. He has never been in trouble. You never hear about him cheating on his wife or doing stuff it's like no stereotypical athlete.
Wait for it.
Right.
Well, yeah, hopefully not.
No, I mean,
there's still time. You're right.
Even if we did, please don't put me on the couch, honey. But even if he did 22 years and only one DM to a gymnast or whatever saying, "Teach me how to do what are your?"
Teach me how to stretch.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, still though,
I defy you listeners to go into your DMs the last 22 years.
I mean, just since we started this story,
and that's as bad as it gets.
I'm just since we've started the show, we're like coming in, I'm prepping for the show, and it's not a day goes by one of these players, whether it's AP or every day we're texting with each other like, damn, dude, like.
We had a wild thing Wednesday, but it turned out to a wild week. So it's like it really didn't matter anymore. But I don't know, this whole LeBron thing just it makes me laugh because it's like you said, he started the ring culture, and yet now you're gonna sit here and say it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, it's
the same thing as the older brother who told you, okay, score this many goals on me, I'll let you have this ice cream, right. And then you score 15 goals. He said, no, I meant the one next time.
That doesn't count.
Yeah, that was my whole growing up. My older brother always did
so
that
it's just
crap.
like you keep moving the goalposts, bud, but that doesn't put you in the limelight anywhere close.
Yeah, but really I hope he does that, because that would overall, that I would always think, okay, well, at least finish with the team you started with, and if you can pull a ring, cool. But
that's what I'm saying. He goes back to Cleveland on a vet minimum, wins 5 out of 11, and rides out into the sunset. I don't think we have as much of hate for LeBron as if he just said, you know what, I give up. I can't win one more, and I'm out of here.
Or if he came out and just said, like, I don't want to feed into this ring culture because I don't feel, even if you do the fake humility, I don't feel comfortable saying I'm better than Jerry West or Oscar Robertson or Wilt Chamberlain because I've got 4 and they've got one or whatever. Yeah, 1 or 2.
And he tried to spin it that way because he did in the interview in the episode, he was talking about how like players like Chuck and Steve Nash aren't seen in the same light as some of the other people. I don't think that's true. I think that people like Shaq like to give people like Chuck grief because he never won a ring. But when you're sitting there still talking about Charles Barkley, he's still top 5 power forwards to ever play the game.
Yeah.
So is it really that detrimental?
Right.
But at the same time, to sit there and say they mean nothing,
right,
is ridiculous.
And to in the end wrap it around to again AAU darling to go. And by the way, me.
Yeah,
you know, Chuck doesn't have one. He shouldn't be. But by the way,
me. Yeah, especially centering it. I was like, I don't get all the gripe against it, especially when it comes to me. It's like, homie, really? Like when you went to Miami and you sat there on that stage, as I said 5-6 times already, and you said 2 or 3 or 4. That was you saying, I'm ring chasing.
That's right.
No matter who the hell is in front of me, I'm chasing the ring. You can't sit there and say that wasn't what he meant by that.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
I don't know.
I just wish they would just change the whole GOAT. I know it doesn't sound as good. It just got, man. Just greatest of their time. Because they're never going to be a correct answer with this. Somebody that grew up watching Jordan, the youngers that grew up watching LeBron, they're always going to have that. You're not going to change their mind.
It's a longer acronym. Greatest of all time, subject to your generation's interpretations and viewpoints.
But other things, Dodgers, Padres, have you seen any of this?
No, I was listening. I was listening on the way in, and I'm not used to there being fights on the field at Dodger Stadium.
Right.
I'm used to it being outside the field.
Inside,
At Dodger Stadium.
So the animosity between the two teams, though, is understandable, but do you kind of agree with us that like this kind of opens the door for you to allow your fans to do stuff like this too?
Especially when you have a volatile fan base. It's not cute. It's violent. It's violent weaponry being used outside
Right,
of your stadium.
like,
You got to be careful to
Do
temper
we
it down.
really need a Raiders 49ers style rivalry in baseball?
And the San Diego doesn't even really care about the Padres.
No, they don't. Like most of the people,
Nobody.
No.
I bought in Padres games tickets for literally $50
Yes.
because they can't sell out the thing Petco.
I've gone to two Phillies games in my entire life because we didn't grow up with the most. They were both Padres games.
That's exactly who I went to go see was Philly and Padres.
$4.
Yeah, it was like $20.
Oh.
I
I'm
learned a
like,
lot
heck
about
yeah.
life that second
And
game.
they were good tickets. Like, I'm not talking about tickets up in the nosebleeds. I was dang
In the
good.
dugout.
Like, yeah, we were dang close. But that's my point. Is that like
Oh.
you got such a fan base, and in a world where fans are literally cussing out players on the sideline because they feel like they can.
Right.
Opening the door for Dodger fans, not only to fight with Padres fans, but fight with Padres players.
Well, and speaking of that Adrian Peterson video, it did no favors for fans fighting players because we've heard for 15 years how strong his handshake is, and he just got in a fight with a tiny little slimy poker player and didn't really handle
You know
business.
what's funny?
Luckily, he said it was his boy that they've known each other
Yeah.
for a while and they fight a lot like brothers. So I was like, okay, I hope
it's
you're
funny
right.
though. He sends me the video of that yesterday, and I'm just sitting there laughing, just saying, "Don't let Adrian go get a switch.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah,
let him
right.
come back with a switch. He will whoop your ass."
You're about
Like,
his kid's size.
exactly what I said. You're about the size of his son. You need to walk away.
I was going to say, regardless of what he said, I've got a number of 135-pound friends. None of them would say they fight me a lot.
No, not at all.
Especially when you step
Some of
up
them
to
might have
AP.
fought me
AP,
once.
dude. Like, imagine that though, being a friend of Adrian Peterson and saying, "I'm not gonna back down from you."
Right.
And just like
We fight like
looking up
brothers.
at him
It's like me and my older brother.
Yeah.
I got him once, but I always went back to that story. He's like, dude, I beat you 150 times. Well, yeah, you beat me once.
150 times and won.
But
right.
while we
There's
have
that
you here,
one,
it is
baby.
Friday. It's
This
SmackDown.
win culture.
And we haven't talked to you since Yeet lost his title. So I know you're oos.
Especially Burdick, I'm curious to hear how you guys feel about this because I don't want to say I was happy to see him lose it, but it was time. I was glad to see Gunther get it back because we talked about how he was kind of a lost man floating out in the ether. And then for whatever reason, they've brought Bill Goldberg to what?
If you
Not
didn't
LA
get a
Knight.
chance to watch our segment with KG, it'll be up this
He
weekend
lost it.
because he lost.
He did.
He
huh?
was not happy about it.
I'm not a
at all.
Goldberg guy. So I was
I'm
like,
not either.
We knew it was coming though. So I
Yeah.
was like, I know it's the nostalgia. Everyone, that's Triple H. He wants to keep it, which, Goldberg fans that aren't watching, I'm sure they're loving it.
When I saw it, I honestly went, is this because Bret Hart rolled his eyes at Triple H during the Hall of Fame
Probably.
induction ceremony?
I hope Bret
Probably.
Hart comes out during this match.
There is rumor of that.
I
I don't
hope
think it's
so.
gonna happen.
I mean,
though.
you've got what is one of the better.
Although, I'm
Huh?
sorry, not to cut you
No,
off.
please.
Now that I think about this, and I don't want to forget it. Remember the promo that Gunther did to both of them?
Yeah. That's why
So-
it was talking about it.
And now
I
that I'm
just
thinking
can't see
about
Bret
that,
doing it.
I'm
think so?
not. It's a heart, man. Anybody in the Hart family will never be far from wrestling.
But I saw a video of him the other day just get in some local promotion just to speak to the crowd. He had a hard time getting in the ring for that. And I'm sure if
Goldberg or
if
Bret?
Bret.
I'm thinking if it's not Bret, maybe somebody in the
that's-
Hart family would at least come out and help.
Like maybe Natalia or
Yeah,
somebody.
exactly.
Yeah, I could see that.
So I went back and did a little quick research again because I was like, man, Bill Goldberg couldn't wrestle 4 minutes 25 years ago. So I was
Yeah.
like, when was his prime? By the way, during his prime, champion throughout those whole years,
90-second matches.
Brock Lesnar too.
Yep.
He
Yep.
would probably be Brock Lesnar. What a tale of two human beings. If he came back tomorrow, he would probably be the best athlete in the WWE now, and he was the best athlete in the WWE 27 years ago.
Yep.
It's
I mean,
insane.
Well, if you really look at his body of work, though, the man was a former defensive end and just
Well, Brock's is just a
Olympic
beast.
wrestler.
Even seeing his
and-
daughter.
Ugh.
I mean, she
is killing it.
She
Again.
just saw
Shot putter and
twin.
absolutely just killing it.
We
but-
talked about it before. NXT. If you're watching, just get.
Oh,
just-
they've already given her money.
Yeah.
Oh no, trust me, they have
Sure.
they have NIL deals with her. Mark Henry's son has a deal. Actually, I think Goldberg's son and the Braun Breaker's cousin, the other Stein,
Oh wow.
or Rick Steiner. Like they have so many NIL deals with a lot of these family
Wow.
members. Trust me, they are well ahead of the game.
I
Let-
watched an interview with Braun over the week. He was another fan was asking him, what's your dream match? He said, of course, I want to fight my uncle. Of course, he's just super old, and I don't think he could handle it.
Steiner would be hilarious.
I mean, before we get away from, the King and Queen of the Rings, the semifinals start tonight.
Yes.
With Sammy and
Randy
Orton
today.
Who do you think's men and women? Who do you think is going to pull these out?
Well, we talked
just in the championship.
We talked about it. Saudi Sammy. We've got Night of Champions coming up in Riyadh. I think
they don't believe in it. They I tried to pitch this to them on Tuesday, and they don't believe it.
I think the same thing. We're playing.
I'm
we're
saying
playing
it's Sammy and Jay. I'm gonna tell you right now, the finals will be Sammy and Jay.
I'll take that bet.
So
another doll hair?
Who are the? We'll do another doll hair. Double doll hairs or nothing. Who are the women that are competing tonight?
Tonight is Asuka and Alexa Bliss.
Oh well, Liv Morgan's out for 6 months, so Alexa Bliss is allowed to have a storyline again.
Yay!
Would be my
I'm glad
this poor girl.
Yay!
I'm like, dude, I had the same thought process. Like, you gave her character to live while Alexa was out doing her maternity leave.
Yep.
And now you're leaving Alexa and all of the Wyatt Six out to dry.
There can be only one Harley Quinn.
Apparently.
Yes, I love it either way.
But see, that's the thing, is that Alexa's a better Harley Quinn
She's
than
way
Liv
better.
is.
Yes.
And Liv doesn't need it anymore.
I love Asuka though, so I'm
honestly,
happy with either one.
Yeah.
But I still think in the men's it's going to be Cody and Orton.
Was it me, by the way, or did you think that Asuka gave Stephanie Vacker a couple of stiff ones in that match last week?
Oh yeah.
I think my theory is right, that she doesn't work safe in the ring, and I think Asuka went, all right, we'll
find out.
And Raquel went, we'll fix it real quick.
Yeah.
Well, you see, I've also read Stephanie's cat is named Asuka.
Yeah. That was another thing
what?
that I read
right.
There's an interview that she did a long time ago where
I
she
would
said her
give somebody
cat's
an extra
name.
punch for that.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What are you calling me?
Especially if she don't like cats.
Yeah.
No, I don't know about the entire rumor if she doesn't work safe in the ring. We're talking about Stephanie, by the way, for those of you who don't understand. But there is a lot of animosity because she does come from New Japan and a lot of that like rougher style.
Okay.
So shaking that off, I think, is just taking a while, because I don't think she'd be on the main roster if she doesn't work safe.
That knee whip it makes me cringe every time she does it.
I keep telling him the same thing. If you didn't watch the AAA Worlds Collide PLE that was right before Money in the Bank, you need to go watch it. You did yourself a disservice.
Yeah.
For three main reasons. One, it's actual luchadors. Like, it's actual Mexican style luchador wrestling, which is always fun to watch.
Grande Americano was there. Sure.
Two, as Chad Gable, but he was there. Two, it is just it's the new building block for the WWE. I think we're gonna get more styles like that, a little more rougher, that look a little more combat sports related.
Yeah.
And three, you missed out on Mr. Iguana, who is the absolute star of the entire show.
Oh, God.
This dude is amazing. You need to watch this. I'm telling you. It's so great. He walks around with
the more
a
he
stuffed
talks about it,
iguana.
the less I want to watch
Listen,
it.
I'm a big Al Snow guy from way
Nice.
back, but I
Me
just
too.
but the real key is going to be the evolution. I mean, I intercontinental title in his future, sure, but I imagine there's going to have to be some evolution before. I mean, what are you going to put the iguana on the belt?
Sure.
If he wins the heavyweight title,
Absolutely.
I've seen
Put the
crazier
iguana
things.
anywhere.
the spinning guana.
Maybe if it was
Absolutely.
Vince, I don't know. But I've got two more questions before we wrap it up. One is Cena versus R-Truth tonight, or Ron Killings. My bad.
Is that tonight?
Yeah.
Ooh. And actually, the little quick storyline add to this that I think is pretty interesting, we haven't actually seen yet. The thought process that R-Truth may have multiple personalities.
Ooh,
I've seen the same thing
Yeah.
about Cena.
Well, that I think is, I could see that as well. But the R-Truth thing, I think, would be a really cool storyline edit if they did go that route,
I got to find something.
where this is like R-Truth's like mean streak side that has taken over because his hero broke his heart or something of that nature.
interesting.
So I thought that was pretty interesting.
I like that, and I didn't think of it until you said that, but because my first thought was there's going to have to be interference or this match get blown up, because it doesn't make sense storyline wise for Ron Killings to lose the same way twice to the same guy and within 4 weeks.
Yeah.
So something's going to have to happen to influence him winning, or does he join Seth Rollins? Does he turn heel?
That sets up perfect, because my last question was, there's been a lot of rumors this week that they're bringing in another wrestler this week, and I've heard Ethan. I've heard a couple names. I haven't heard Ron
I haven't
Killens.
heard Ron Killens either, but I love the thought of Ethan Page or Ricky Saints coming up and being
Those are the
part of
two
that.
names that they've thrown out.
Yeah.
So I don't think it'll be either one of them.
I think
just because they threw it out there.
Ethan Page makes a lot more sense to me just on this brutal run that they've had him on
Yeah.
NXT, where he's literally going out to hurt guys. Like, if you haven't seen it, there's a match actually between the two men, Ricky Saints and Ethan Page, where he takes Ricky Saints and essentially puts him through a chair the opposite way,
Oh yeah.
feet first, and it looked brutal. Like they went through the chair and everything. It was nuts.
Wow.
What's
So-
the other big name, the big guy's name that just came back from injury? That's the one I keep thinking
Bronson Reed? No, that's
of.
the guy.
The
who
one
just
that he
joined
was
the
fighting with last week in the 4-way.
Sheamus?
No, he's the guy that's been feuding with
Rusev?
Sheamus. Rusev.
Oh.
I think
That would be
Rusev might
awesome.
have his own storyline brewing right now.
I hope
but
so
we'll
because
see.
we need to see more of
And-
him
and
because
they
I
need
love
s-
that guy.
They need somebody with some pop, like a
Yeah.
Carrion Cross. I know you don't want that.
That
but-
would be
well,
awesome.
I would love Carrion to get
Yeah.
any kind of a push right now, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I'm so tired of not seeing him in a match.
they had him on like the fast match the other day.
I know, and he's such a good wrestler. I
Yep.
don't understand it, but
I don't think
he's
I've
getting
seen him
TV.
wrestle. I don't.
You know
think I
what?
have.
That's a fair statement. You probably haven't. If you,
I've only been watching
if-
for like the year and a half.
yeah,
and
if you
I don't-
haven't watched, because his last major match that he had was that big feud versus feud match between his feud at the time. I'm sorry, his faction at the time and Bobby Lashley's factions.
Mm.
So that's the last time I've ever seen him in something that was actually serious.
Yeah, that was pretty
story
mean.
building.
Because when I started watching, he was with the group that they
Mm.
ended up releasing, which I actually liked those guys.
Mm.
But yeah, hopefully it is some curveball. It's not the ones that they keep throwing out. And usually the guys that they throw out is usually the farthest
Filler.
away. So I'm hoping. How crazy would it be?
I know, but I mean, I
mix it up.
am not against Karrion Kross.
I know
joining.
KG's been pushing the Sammy. That Sammy's going to turn, and I'm like, I don't see it.
Well, that would fit the Sammy and Carrion rivalry too. It would push that further.
Absolutely. So I don't know. The thought process of bringing another member to that group is interesting, but that would also put them up to what, 4 guys? In
They're looking like they need another guy
Yeah.
since the last couple of weeks.
I still think they need a woman. I think you like the way the WWE is and just sports are. You need a woman in this.
If only one of them had a wife that was a charismatic
Right?
heel,
Who
for goodness
happens to
sakes.
have a title at the moment. Like I've never understood why they don't do storylines with their spouses.
I know
I've never got.
they do them with other people's spouses.
I know. I'm just like, what the heck? We keep getting Dom and Liv, who
And
have
it comes back to LeBron's DMs, the most impressive 22 years
There it is.
in professional athlete
So
history.
how do they see? How do they see you again? The shows coming up.
Oh, so well, if you live in Seven Oaks, you could see me next week. LA,
I'm sure there is people that live there.
yeah, LA next Thursday, here Friday, Saturday in Antelope Valley, and then July 19th, big old Tembler show with the sweet Andrew Boydston and some other really funny comics. Tickets moving fast for that, but come hang with us. You'll have a good time.
fantastic, sir. Thank you so much for your time as
Thank you.
always. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Love it. Fastest half hour of my week. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, brother. We got to take a break real quick, pay some bills. This is the Early Bird Special on 101.1 FM, 12:30 a.m. ESPN Bakersfield.
Yeah, slow it down. Friday.
This is the early bird special. I'm Chris Burdick. That's Sparky. We got some football news to get to here before we get out of here this week because Shedeur Sanders has stepped in it again. Or I guess he stepped in it a while ago and then got stepped in again the other day when he got busted to go 100 or going 101 miles an hour.
Yeah, he didn't learn when he was going 91.
I said it the other day. I don't get it. I really don't.
I
I
would
get,
have a
don't get me
driver.
wrong. I get the allure of fast cars. I get the allure of, of luxury cars. I totally get it. But why are you going these speeds on freeways, dog? Like, why? What apps, like, what sat there and told you? And you know what's funny is I was listening to the McAfee show yesterday. I could not believe their reaction to this. They AJ Hawk and Pat literally laughed it off. They're saying, oh, at least it was just a speeding ticket. Yeah, 91 and 101 miles an hour, gentlemen, down a freeway. And that's what they're like, oh, it was just a freeway, right? Are you seriously? And then they tried to make it as well, maybe he didn't know how fast these cars could go and, the horsepower of their shush, stop it. I know you're trying to back him. I know you're trying to be a player's guy. I get it. But come on, dude. Seriously? You're going to sit there and tell me Deion Sanders' son, the guy who literally grew up around nothing but money and luxury cars and luxury people, had no idea how fast these cars could go? The guy who went out and bought the car himself, probably test drove it and asked all about it because, yeah, we just walk up and say, I want that one off the lot right now and walk away with it without knowing anything about the car. He knew exactly what he was doing. He knew exactly how fast he was going. And he was trying to push his car because, I don't know, young and dumb. But I don't know. This is just, I can't believe this is a second offense.
I mean, if you're a Browns owner or coach, are you a bit
Now I'm starting to
nervous?
get worried.
I
Yeah.
mean, he's only been on the team, a couple months, and he's already pulling tickets. And I mean, he's obviously didn't learn the first one.
But then again, we are rational thinking people here, Sparky. We're talking about the people who run the Cleveland Browns, who obviously traded for Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
So
knowing his history.
Yeah, knowing his history exactly and what he was dealing with. And let's not also forget Kareem Hunt, who the owner of the Browns came out and said that he was all for second chances and all of that other type of stuff. Yeah. So I don't know. Like, maybe they don't care. Maybe they're sitting there thinking, "Oh, he's just a troubled kid that's going to be our starting quarterback one day.
He'll clean it up.
He'll clean it up once he starts going with it." Look who his dad is.
Yeah, and read into the story this morning, and he didn't show up in court for the first one.
Yep.
And now he's got a second one. So I mean, it just shows that he
doesn't care.
He doesn't care. He knows who he is. He knows who his family is, and he's got the money. But I mean, when does it end?
Yeah, and that's my other question too, is does this now show the level of disingenuousness in your own maturity? Because again, you're trying to prove to everybody right now that
you're grown up.
Yeah, that the stories that they heard during your draft process were not true, and that you have grown up and done better with yourself, and you're not that type of person anymore. Are we really going to talk like that, or are we going to sit there and now take this into account that obviously you don't care about the law? You're putting not only yourself, but multiple people in danger. You're most likely going to have a Henry Ruggs situation. That's all I'm thinking.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. I said, when's it going to end? When's he going to have to grow up? Does he have to hurt somebody
in order to understand?
Exactly.
And that's the last thing anybody wants to happen. But at this point right now, I kind of agree with you. That's the only thing that's going to make him learn, because you clearly don't care. Like, I don't know. I'm one of those people that it's like, if you show me once, great. But if you show me multiple times, you clearly don't care. Like, I am one of those people that your actions speak way louder than your words. And this is showing me, and I honestly was starting to turn around on the guy. I was sitting there thinking maybe it was all hoopla. But at this point right now, this guy is just absolutely shooting himself in the foot in a situation where he should be the starter day one. If you really want to get down to it, he is the best one he's looked the best at camp. Dylan Gabriel is not the player they were hoping he was. And to be honestly, I don't know where the Browns go from here, but obviously they don't care about certain situations with their quarterbacks. So they probably will just brush this off as the McAfee show did and say, it's just a couple speeding tickets. Who cares?
Well, the first text says, Chris, you never broke the speed limit?
That's not the point. That is
Not
not the
101.
point. I've never gone 101 miles an hour on a freeway in a luxury car.
I did
Not me.
last week, but I was the only one on the road.
Again, if you go to situations like a track or somewhere that allows you to do that, I'm
And
all
you got
for
the
it.
money to do it, of course.
Yeah.
But we've got
But don't put other
Daily.
people in danger.
We've got Daily Dave on line 1.
Dave, how are you?
Good morning, guys. Yeah, I just want to chime in. I've got a little Hyundai type car. It does 100.
Mhm.
If I push it, it's going to take some time to get it up to it. And I'm going to get on the I-5 right now and go over to the beach. And I'll probably have to hit 95 for a little bit to keep up with the traffic. Okay, but these guys with these thumper cars, they need to have a muffler. They need to have a muffler on it.
Dave, hold on.
where
Time
I'm
out.
not
Time out real quick.
Something to keep it from going too fast.
No, I get that. But did you just say you have to get up to 95 to keep up with people on the freeway?
Just to kind of move out of the way. Because they're coming up on you on 100 miles an hour.
Are we talking
I-5.
kilometers per hour? What? Where are you racing, Dave? Good Lord.
No, I'm talking the I-5.
I have never once seen people fly 95 miles an hour in
You've
a
never been
constant
in a car with
freeway.
JR.
Oh, no,
then.
he's the only one I've seen. I'll see JR. JR for sure. I know that man drives. But everybody?
Not everyone. I'm not saying everybody. I'm saying I see them coming, and I have to make a decision. Do I get behind the slow truck, or do I speed it up?
No, absolutely.
Right? Okay. And my little car, my little Hyundai, it'll go. It'll do it.
I would. That's okay. I believe you. I know that they can get up to that speeds, but 100 miles an hour on the freeway. I'm wondering where you're going, Dave.
I was driving my wife's Audi and going 95, 100. It feels like you're going 40. But yeah, I was alone on the freeway. We left
Bro,
it at a
I don't
perfect
break
time.
80. What?
Yeah.
How? What? Y'all are madmen on the road.
No.
I'm never driving any y'all. Oh my God. 100 miles an hour on the freeway.
When
Thanks,
I could
Dave.
s-
We
when-
appreciate
When
it.
I could see miles of just dirt, I know I'm good. But
I'm just in shock. I'm just like, what? You guys are going 100. Maybe I'm thinking about this wrong. 100 miles an hour on the freeway. Okay. Maybe it's not that big of a deal. Maybe I'm the crazy one.
well, we'll wrap up this break. We'll finish off the show in our final segment. Keep it tuned in. We are the Early Bird Special on ESPN Bakersfield, 12:30 a.m.
101.1 FM. Welcome back. Final segment of the day. This is the early bird 101.1 FM, 12:30 a.m. ESPN Bakersfield. Thank you for joining us this week. Hope you join us again next week, 7 to 9. As always, we'll be recapping what happens in the NBA Finals as we know who our champion will be. As the series will go back to Oklahoma City, and hopefully the Pacers will be able to keep up with the Thunder after just beating them in Game 6. I am hopeful, although not very optimistic, as you can't tell. So
And hopefully by then we'll have a game 3 of the College World Series.
absolutely. And that's going to be LSU and Coastal Carolina, correct? I believe that
Yep.
starts tomorrow. You can hear that right here on ESPN Bakersfield. Do we know what time that starts? 4? I believe I believe it'll be a pregame at 4. So
I think
listen out for
Sunday's
that.
game's early.
Is it? Okay. So that makes a lot of sense. But this final series is going to be a good one. Coastal Carolina and LSU, two of the hottest teams in baseball. Unfortunately, Arkansas falls short again. Man, it would have been a really cool story. And honestly, I feel so bad for the left fielder on that error. He did everything he could to just reach out and grab that. But it's a good lesson for baseball players. If you can't get to it, I get the extra effort and all that, but calm down. You don't always got to make the big play. A bounce off to a throw will work out just as fine. So, but let's get to some of the text messages before we get out of here, my friend. What do we got?
The first one says, "Okay, Grandpa Chris, just stay off the freeway."
Look, brother, I'm sorry. I'm never in the fast lane anyway, so you guys never have to deal with me. I'm very rarely in the fast lane unless I'm getting around somebody. I go 75, 85 miles an hour at the most, but I also don't want to get a speeding ticket. The rest of y'all can get pulled over by highway patrol, and I'll get to my destination not having to pay an extra $400. Thanks.
The next one says, "I'm not a Pacers fan, but won't pull for a team that should still be in Seattle."
You know, okay, if that is the hatred, because I was honestly wondering that, because I have heard it too, Sparky, but I don't understand why people have such animosity towards the Thunder. Never, like, it's not like
so long ago.
I know, but like, okay, I do understand why you would still want a team in Seattle, and we have hinkering, or there's at least some talk that the team might be coming back, so you may have a Seattle team again. And also, but just throwing this out there, are you even a Seattle fan? Were you a fan of the Supersonics, or are you a Lakers fan that's just for some reason holding a grudge for a team that you never even followed to begin with?
Ding, ding, ding.
Because again, nothing wrong with Oklahoma City. They have actually come out, because I'm not gonna lie to you, when that and got announced when I was younger that they were moving from Seattle to Oklahoma, I said, what? Why? That makes no sense. Oklahoma City? Like, they're not gonna sell out that arena. Oh, was I wrong on many an occasion, because even when they sucked, Oklahoma City showed out for that team. So in my personal opinion, as a franchise and as a city, they have done more than warrant having a team there. I just agree with you that we do need to put if we're putting teams back in the NBA or putting more in, Seattle's first one.
Yes.
Seattle's first on the list. Vegas is second, but Seattle is first on that list to me.
And the last one says, "I cannot wait to see Mr. Iguana in the WWE."
Thank you. I'm just saying, man, this man is incredible. And honestly, if you haven't watched AAA, you are doing yourself a disservice. It's amazing wrestling, very much Lucha Underground like. It's so much fun to watch. You got to see a little bit of these guys during the Money in the Bank weekend. Hopefully we see a little bit more. And actually, some WWE wrestlers currently hold the tag team titles down there right now. So you have a little bit of a stake if you're a fan, just throwing that out there. But if you're a wrestling fan in general, I highly recommend you go check it out. And he is an incredible athlete as well. He's not just like really fun to watch in ring. And it is very much Gold Dust-like. It really, really is. Like his mannerisms, his facial expressions, it is very much Gold Dust-like. So I think a lot of you old school fans will really enjoy this guy.
Well, before we go down what we're watching this weekend, did you see that story about Rashee Rice?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it a little bit, but I don't know. Go ahead and run it down for
I
him.
mean, he's facing multiple felony charges from a street racing incident in Dallas.
Oh, surprise,
And
surprise.
the NFL came out yesterday and said that they will not
penalize him for
penalize him until after the whole court deals, and his court case isn't until I believe November, December. So it looks like he seemed happy yesterday when they announced it, because it seems like he won't face any suspensions this year. So
well, and again, this is not the first time he's been wrapped up in legal issues too. That's my biggest concern is you haven't been in the league that long, dude. Like what is going on here? And we knew about this situation because if you remember, he got busted for this months ago, or I shouldn't even say months ago, weeks ago. I don't think it's been that long, but the instance was down in Dallas, and he was already kind of on probation for the thing that he was in trouble for beginning or prior to that. I think it's a little coincidental that he's not getting punished for this by the NFL. Then he plays for the Chiefs, but again, I will leave it at that. I'm not much of a conspiracy theorist in that realm, but it is kind of coincidental. And as I've said with everybody else, your actions speak way louder than words, and the NFL definitely plays their favorites with certain teams. So if he was on any other team, personally, I think he more than likely would have been flagged for this or at least punished, but that's just me.
Well, what you watching this weekend?
This weekend, that's a good question. I'm actually going to take my mom to go see How to Train Your Dragon. Since it was her birthday last week, I didn't get to take her to anything. So we are going to do that this weekend. Hopefully go check that out. And hopefully it's as good as it's been advertised because I really liked the animated version of this. So what about you?
I believe we're going to watch the last John Wick so we can go see Ballerina.
Yes.
And then
Please
I think
let
next
me know
week
what you
we'll
think.
do the Dragon movie.
Personally, don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting here saying they're the greatest action movies I've ever seen. Love Keanu Reeves, but they're highly entertaining. And Ballerina was really fun to watch too. Love Anna de Armas, and she did a great job.
LFG
Yes.
season 2.
I'm so happy you told me that because I thought it was later. And now I get to watch my boy Shiloh Hill, who's doing amazing stuff on social media as well. If you're not following him on social media, you need to. Hopefully he wins season 2 because that guy needs an opportunity here in the WWE. This is the Early Bird Special, though. Thank you guys for joining us. We got to get out of the way for the great Rich Eisen. Sparky, let's get out of here.